The salesman smiled as he demonstrated the pen, its ballpoint gliding effortlessly across the page. Customers lined up, eager to own the pen of the future, a marvel that required no refilling and promised smooth, smudge-free writing. But the excitement soon gave way to disappointment. Within weeks, the pens leaked, skipped, and sputtered. Shirts were ruined, notebooks blotched, and buyers felt cheated. This was the disastrous first chapter of the ballpoint pen invention that began with promise, stumbled badly at its debut, and only later became one of the most successful tools in history. The story begins in the 1930s, with László Bíró, a Hungarian journalist. Frustrated with fountain pens that smudged and demanded constant refilling, he sought a better solution. He noticed how quickly newspaper ink dried, and wondered if a similar ink could be used for writing. But the thick ink wouldn't flow through a fountain pen's nib. Along with his brother Georgi, a chemist, Bíró designed a tiny ball bearing at the tip of the pen. The ball rotated as it moved across the paper, picking up ink from the cartridge and depositing it smoothly. The idea was ingenious, self-sealing, less messy, and perfect for quick writing. In 1938, Bíró patented his design and fled Europe during World War II, eventually bringing the invention to Argentina. There, his pens gained popularity, especially with the British Royal Air Force, whose pilots needed reliable pens that wouldn't leak at high altitudes. For the military, the ballpoint was revolutionary. For civilians, it seemed like the writing tool of the future. When the pen hit the American market in 1945, hype was enormous. Gimbel's department store in New York sold 10,000 pens on the first day alone. At $12.50 each, the equivalent of over $200 today, shoppers were dazzled by promises that the pen would last 2 years without refilling. But reality was harsher. The pens leaked, clumped, or stopped working entirely. Consumers returned them in droves, and newspapers mocked the pen that didn't work. What should have been a triumph turned into a fiasco. The early failure nearly doomed the ballpoint. Critics dismissed it as a gimmick, and fountain pens retained their dominance. But the idea was too good to die. Companies continued experimenting, refining the ink and redesigning the ball mechanism. In the 1950s, French businessman Marcel Bic perfected a cheap, reliable version. His Bic crystal pen was mass-produced, affordable, and worked consistently. Priced low enough to be disposable, it turned the ballpoint into a global commodity. By the 1960s, fountain pens were relegated to luxury status, and the ballpoint ruled everyday writing. The turnaround was astonishing. From its disastrous launch to its eventual triumph, the ballpoint pen became a case study in persistence, design improvement, and consumer trust. Today, over 100 billion Bic crystal pens have been sold worldwide. And the ballpoint is so common it is almost invisible, a tool used by billions without a thought for its tumultuous origins. The story of the ballpoint also highlights a broader truth about innovation. Even great ideas can fail if poorly executed. The pen that once symbolized frustration now represents reliability. Its journey from leaky disaster to indispensable tool is a reminder that failure is often the first step toward success. The next time you casually jot down a note, consider the invention that once cost a fortune, leaked on its owners, and nearly vanished before finally conquering the world.